Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know right about now, Stardom continues with more of their latest tour, New Year's Stars, but this time they head to Korakuen Hall with one of their big matches. Amongst them, of course, is a semi-main event, which features, of course, the rookies Yuri Ham, Aya Sakura, and Sayakura taking on the veterans, such as, of course, Starlight Kid, Natsupoi, and, of course, the first ever Wonder of Stardom champion, Yuzuki Aikaya. So that's going to be a fun match. But also, the main event is the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Konami defends it against her own teammate, Rina. As you know, Rina has been tearing it up in Stardom through her young age. But the real question, can she pull it off? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Then we move on, of course, with Evolve. As you know, tensions are rising between both sides of the Performance Center guys and the ID guys. But nonetheless, it's going to be a crazy, of course, timing. We're going to see, of course, Wendy Chu calling out, of course, Kendall Gray, and Karmen Petrovic will take on, of course, Callie Armstrong, which is going to be impressive. And then we move on, of course, with AEW Dynamite. We're going to feature many matches. Kenny Omega takes on Josh Alexander, a street fight between the Death Riders and the Don Callis family. Then, of course, we have plenty other matches as well, which is going to be a lot of fun to take a look at. And then, as always, we wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get to it. So, let's begin with Stardom. Okay, Stardom. As they continue with the latest tour, New Year's Stars, they made their way to Korakuen Hall, of course, which is one of their big shows they normally would do. So we opened up, of course, with Fuwa-chan, who, as you know, will be making appearances. She teams up once again with her senpai and, of course, opponent that she had not too long ago, Zuki. They take on, of course, who do we have to take on? God's Eye members, Rani Agami and Shuri. Now, one thing I liked about this match, as you know, sometimes when we see rookies like Fuwa-chan and Rani Agami, most times we see them, they probably will lose. But in this case, Fuwa-chan really impressed me with her skills, what she was doing. I mean, very impressive. I have to say she is learning very well. Not to mention Azuki, not only is her tag partner, but she's also her senpai. For those who don't understand, her teacher. So basically, she's learning from her. But unfortunately, Fuwa-chan had to learn the hard way when Shuri put her in the sharpshooter, I believe, and just like that, she had no choice but to tap out. But I have to say, she did a pretty good job. So hopefully, we see more of her again. Now, next match, we have Olympia teaming up with Ami Sodi, and they take on Ane Kanaya and who is it? Oh, and Yuna Mizumori. Now, obviously, for those who don't know, with Ane Kanaya and Yuna Mizumori, well, it was Yuna Mizumori was her debut opponent last year, and they often have teamed up before because they have the same kind of spirit type, the tropical wild style. If you guys don't know, Ane Kanaya is from Okinawa, nice place down there. But yes, so that's one of the things. But I figured that this match was going to fall in favor with Olympia and Amisuri for obvious reasons. Well, one is their strength; they're both powerhouses, so it fits perfectly. I mean, I did say I would like to see Olympia part of Stars, but a part of me would think maybe either that or God's Eye because they're all about strength and power and going beyond their limits, and that's exactly what she did. Fortunately, in the end, it was of course Amisuri with the blue thunder bomb onto Kanaya, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match, we had a very interesting 5-on-5 match. For those who know, in my Mi Vida Loca are one person short. Bozilla is out of action due to an injury she obtained not too long ago. Well, taking her spot for the time being until she gets better is Kikyo Furuzawa. She teams up with Kira Kurigani, um, Zuz, Aoki Uzuki, Rina Yamashita, and Suzuki, taking on EXV, consisting of all members Rianne, Waka Tsukiyama, Hanako, Zena, and Maika. Now, recently we have been seeing tensions between Maika and Hanako go down. In her, Hanako's getting pissed off for a lot of things have been going on within EXV. And not to mention, of course, EXV's been dealing with the gloatness and the cockiness of Suzuki. If I mentioned before, Zuzu and Micah have their history. But we did see a misfire by Micah onto Hanako that led to the loss because it was, in fact, Aoki that pinned Micah. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, we did see either I think it was Zuzu who was being a bit more cocky and gloating about the loss. Hanako just had enough and just walked out. And Hanako, of course, decided to try to confront her, understanding her frustration because, as you know, Micah was gone for a long while before she made her return. And that's probably one of the main reasons. But we'll see how that rolls up with EXV. Our next match, we have a three-way. We have Maki Ito. Now, if you guys did not see this, um, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kawara were seconds because Sayuri Ano was participating in the match and they're trying to get under. She's trying to get under Aya Sakura's skin, but however, she faces Tomoka Inaba and Sayuri Ano. So basically, it was a three-way. So three-ways are a bit more unpredictable. But obviously, this match ended with Saudi Anu when she applied the pottering onto Tomokai Naba. But I think what people do not understand after this match was over, it seems that Saudi Anu still has some issues towards Maki Ito. Not because, she's getting all the attention. The fact is that she caught her in the cutter. If you guys remember, she accidentally put her down. I'm sure Aya Sakura is laughing her butt off knowing that she got herself into this big mess. And it's a good thing that it makes her feel happy about it, but we'll see how that turns out from there. Now, our next match, we have Neo Genesis consisting of Miyo Masaki, Meisita, and Azumi taking on God's Eye, Lady C, Hina, and Saki Kashima. Now, nothing too special about this match whatsoever, but however, we probably would think that there was going to be an interesting moment. No, but it was in fact Meisita with the rolling star onto Hina, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, we have Hate, consistent of Azusa Inaba, Fukigen Death, Raka, and Natsuko Tora taking on Stars, consistent of Momokogo, B. Priestley, Saya Ida, and Hanan. As you all know, Hanan made her return. She did make this announcement, I think, in day two of the Osaka event, like maybe 2 days before. But nonetheless, I'm glad that she's back and all that. But the real question is how much ring rust she's been out. Remember, she was viciously beaten down by Konami, and that was one of the main reasons she was out. But what was interesting, of course, is we did see B. Priestley apply the Kamigoye onto Raka, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win. However, B. Priestley went onto the mic and said that she pinned Natsuko Tora, and now she pinned Ruaka. As you probably both know, everybody knows, these two ladies are in fact the current goddesses of Stardom champions, which means they're the tag champions. So by default, they do have a right to challenge for the belt. But the real question is who did beat Priestley will pick for a partner. Now, however, we do know in Goddesses Tag League, she had Saida as a partner. But however, she's giving her time to establish her singles run because she's seeing how amazing she's becoming. So she picked Hanan, which was very interesting. I know that Hanan and B Priestley sort of developed a new friendship. I mean, they did had an amazing match, and that was pretty much it. And of course, Hanan really was surprised that she picked her, and I think it's going to be very interesting enough. I'm sure not hate are trying to think about, can't believe this is happening. Don't forget, B Priestley and Natsuko Tora and Raka know her very well. She was once a member of Oedo Tai that no longer exists, but we'll see how that plays out. Now, our semi-main event, we have an interesting six-woman tag match. We have, of course, the rookies. Yuri Him, she teams up with the New Blood Tag Team Champions, Sakurada, consistent of Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurara. They take on the veterans Starlight Kid, Natsupoi, and Yuzuki Aika. As you all know, she is the first ever Wonder of Stardom champion. But what I liked about this match is how, of course, Yuri Him and Akaya would, in fact, Akawa, of course, were really getting down. And there was a moment like she put um, Aikawa into a submission where, if you guys seen her, she does stretch out her dang ass leg. I can't do it, guys, because it's too much to lift it up there. But man, she was amazing with that. But however, Yuri Him was playing a smarter one. She grabbed it and tried to use a submission. But Natsupoi was the one who, in fact, it was able to pick up the save. But in the end, it was Aikawa with the Tiger suplex onto Yuri Him. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win for her team. And of course, she put out a post match promo. Now, I don't know exactly what she said, but I'm sure everybody are happy to see her. Now, on to our main event. We have the Wonder of Stardom Championship, aka the White Belt. Konami defends it this time against her own teammate, Rina. Now, obviously, we all know how these two ladies are. They're probably going to play dirty tricks, dirty tactics, because that's what they do. And that's okay. We're not bothered by that. I mean, people are probably behind Rina because she's been very sensational throughout this entire time. But unfortunately, it did not do enough with her because Konami put her in a sleeper role, and the ref had no choice but to call it. And just like that, it was over. But of course, there was a post-match promo, Konami saying some things to Rina. And then, of course, Ami Soda showed up, and she's now putting herself as the next challenger. Because remember, before this, she issued a challenge for this, and that's exactly why. So we'll see where that goes from there. So right now, we are done with Stardom. Let's move on with WWE Evolved. Okay, WWE Evolved. Well, we did see, of course, a lot of things taking place. Now, we opened up with Wendy Chu doing a promo. Now, as you all know, there's a bullseye on Kendall Gray. Well, you can guess that Wendy Chu wants to have a shot of the Evolve Women's Championship, and that's exactly what she wanted. Now, Kendall Gray, of course, some people can say It was unwise for her, but she wants to prove herself that she's a fighting champion. That's exactly what she did. So she accepted her challenge and put the belt on the line. Now, of course, Wendy Chu did whatever it took to try to put Kendall Gray in the ground. Now, don't forget, Kendall Gray does have a win over her. Of course, I think Wendy Chu has maybe one or two wins over her too. But now she has the prize that everybody wants, which is the Evolve Women's title. But unfortunately, when Kendall Gray applied the shades of gray, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the belt. Now, of course, watching from the back, Callie Armstrong. Now, obviously, we know what's her aim. She wants to reclaim the championship back, but she has an obstacle to deal with, and that is the person who recently dissed her last week, and that is, of course, Karmen Petrovic. So don't forget, that's what's going to happen. Now, we did see Nikita Lyons along with her new BFF Ariana Grace. Well, they went to one of those card reader types. Well, let's just say things are not looking out because there's going to be a lot of darkness coming in their way, and they have to run to the hills for that. So I don't know what that was all about. Now, our next match, we have Marcus Mathers taking on Braxton Cale. Now, as you know, the war between both the WWID prospect guys versus the Performance Center guys continues to rage on. Now, of course, Marcus Mathers is a very talented guy, but one thing that we did not see is the interference from Cam Hendricks, as you know, the guy who won the gauntlet match, but will have his right to challenge for the Evolve Men's Championship. And of course, they took because of the distraction, um, Braxton was able to apply a roll up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, defeated Marcus Mathers, and then the beatdown to send a direct message to the WWE ID prospect guys to show them that they are nothing. Now the PC guys, of course, watching this, we did see Riggins, Presley, Carver, and of course Jensen were enjoying themselves. But however, Jensen, as you know, said that he has a much bigger fish to fry, and that person is, of course, Cappuccino Jones, who took him out of the gauntlet match. And this time he said he's going to put a hurt on him. And of course, the rest of the PC guys really are happy to hear that. Now, Harlem Lewis put out a very interesting video where he talks about his direct approach. He said that he wants Jackson Drake and the Evolve Men's Championship, but he doesn't give a damn about the war between both the PC guys and the WWE guys. Basically, he says they can destroy each other, all I care, because his sight is directly at Jackson Drake and his championship. But the real question is, when will that happen? Well, we don't know. Now, our main event features Callie Armstrong and Karmen Petrovic. I have to say, many people might have assumed because Callie Armstrong is determined to make it back to the top of the mountain to reclaim the championship. Well, we would have assumed that would have been the case, but no. Karmen Petrovic was able to survive it. She applied the catcher fire, which is the jumping, spinning front kick, onto her twice. And just like that, it was completely over. Basically, there's that. However, Karmen Petrovic called out Kendall Gray, asking for a shot of the Evolve Women's Championship next week. And of course, Kendall Gray doesn't mind. But however, the PC guys, as you know, well, let's just say they're not going to let that happen because they have their full control of Evolve next week. So we'll see how that plays out too. So I think we're done with WWE Evolve. Let's move on with our last and final review, AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. So as you know, we opened up with MJF doing a promo. Now, of course, throughout the promo, Max being Max, talk about certain things, people who are not in his level, that sort of thing. Until, of course, Brody King, as you know, Bandito, who challenged him last week, well, showed up. Let's just say that he wants a shot of the title. Now, MJF, as you know, let's just say he is not willing to give him the title. Now, he did admit that he's not afraid of him, but he did say that he is not even championship material. But of course, Brody King's not going to let that slide because he wants a shot at him. So hopefully sooner or later it will come a pass. We'll just have to wait and see when. Now, we did see, of course, Renee Paquette talking to the brand new AEW World Trios Champion, Hangman Adam Page, and Jet Speed Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey. However, of course, there was one subject that I think that people were asking themselves. They were talking about what's going to be their trio's name. So Kevin Knight thought of a better name. He thought Jet Set Rodeo. But however, Mike Bailey was about to put horsecock, and they was like, no. I tried that. I almost got in trouble for that. So basically, but however, Hangman did say that everybody has their own thing to do. Well, Bailey has to deal with Samoa Joe, while Kevin Knight takes on Swerve Strickland. But however, he'll be dealing with Shibata in Collision, so I'm excited for that one. But let's jump into the match between Samoa Joe and Speedball. Now, of course, in this match, Speedball is the kind of person who is not gonna how to give up without a fight. But however, of course, he had to endure a lot of beatdown from the ops, more specifically Hook and Shibata, because as you probably can guess, Samoa Joe used that as a way to, in fact, to ensure he takes a beating. But in the end, it was the Muscle Buster that defeated Mike Bailey, and just like that, it was over. But we did see MJF, who's been watching this. As you know, MJF is no fool. He knows that Samoa Joe will love nothing more to regain what is his, which is the AEW World title. Now, we did see a street fight, of course, between the Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Jon Moxley taking on the Don Callis family, Rocky Romero, Hechiseto, and Lance Archer. Now remember, last week they attacked Jon Moxley, and Don Callis' reason was because he thinks of him as a lunatic, making all these nonsense claims and all that. But man, they went through hell. But the one thing nobody expected is Marina Shafir to get in the face of Lance Archer. Lance Archer was in the verge of choking her down. But the one thing was interesting is the Death Riders were able to isolate one person. They isolated Lance Archer enough for Pac to whack him with the clutches, and that worked. And even Claudio Castagnoli took him out. And then, of course, we did see they took out Hechiseto with a low blow. And then, of course, then later we did see Rocky Romero was the weakest link. He ended up being in a Scorpion Deathlock, but he got stomped by, of course, Moxley, and that gave enough time for the ref to call it, and just like that. However, Jon Moxley, as you know, had some words to say to, of course, Don Callis, telling him, hey, tell your boy he knows where to find me. Basically, he might have been referring to Okada, who's probably on the verge of trying to reclaim what rightfully is his, which is the Continental Championship. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, the Triangle of Madness, as you know, they had some plans. Tekla, as you know, is aiming for the AEW Women's title, so that's exactly what she's going to get. And of course, Julia Hart made a decision that she'll be coming for the TBS title, a bit of a rematch between her and Willow Nightingale. So we'll see where that happens. Now, our next match, we have Alec Price and Jordan Oliver. This time they'll be facing off against FTR. Now, of course, I have to say those two guys really impressed me for tonight. I didn't think they were going to go all out what they're going to do. But unfortunately, things had to come to an end between them because Alec Price ended up on the wrong side of the shattered machine, and it was Dax Harwood to pick up the win. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Chris Statlander, as you know, was well aware what Tekla said, so she's willing to put the title on the line this coming Wednesday. But of course, Willow's heard exactly, so basically, she knows this is going to be a rematch, so sooner or later, we will see where that goes from there. Now, Kenny Omega takes on Josh Alexander. Of course, Josh Alexander, as you know, let's just say he wanted to brutalize him. Now, of course, Don Callis is well aware of the injury that Kenny Omega has suffered in the past, and he's been trying to use that as a way to take him out permanently. But however, it only took a V trigger, of course, to take out Josh Alexander, and then finally, of course, the one-winged angel, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, Kenny goes out telling everybody that, you know, this is the best year, and he is not done with the Don Callis family. He's telling him, send in their best guy if they can take him out. So we'll see who will that be, because that's going to be a fantastic. Now, our next match, we have Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford taking on the the timeless love bombs, Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm. As you know, the war between these two teams have continued on and more and more. And of course, things took a turn when Marina Shafir, who tried to stop Tony Storm from saving Mina, she put her in the mother's milk to take her out, giving enough time to, of course, the Doomsday device applied onto Mina by, of course, Penelope. And just like that, one, two, three, it was done. Now, our main event, we have Swerve Strickland and Kevin Knight, of course. Well, Swerve was giving, of course, a bit of a beating down onto Kevin Knight, trying to take control of the ring, and that's exactly what he's doing. But Kevin Knight had tried to turn it around by using every maneuver he can do. He even tried the UFO splash, which was not good. But however, Swerve Strickland was able to walk away uh, with the driver, and just like that, one, two, three, he picked up the win. It was over, just like that. So we'll see what happens on this coming Saturday in Collision. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we are officially done with our reviews. So let's move on to news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin, of course, with upcoming events. Let's start with West Coast Pro updates. Now, as you know, they will be making their way in LA on February 27th for Evil Empire, and they just announced Bear Bronson and Alpha Zoe will be participating in this event. And of course, a month later, which is March 28th, they'll be making their way here to San Diego, California for a collaboration with another promotion called Pride Style. I don't know who these guys are, but the name of this event is called Turn the Tail. So they haven't announced who will be participating, but it's only a matter of time until they do. Now, on to some House of Glory updates. As you know, by the end of this month, on January 30th, they'll be at LA. They just announced the House of Glory Cruiserweight title will be on the line. Infamous defends the belt against Starboy Charlie. And then, of course, next month, which is February, they have another event called No Turning Back, and they just announced Zilla Fatu will take on Lance Anoa'i. So that's going to be a very interesting match, family versus family. That's going to be very interesting to watch. Now, Jersey Championship Wrestling with the Jersey J Cup, they just announced the first round match, Eric Stevens versus Charles Mason. And then finally, as you know, we have a double show event taking place in March with Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. The first one is a collaboration with Ring of Honor, Global Wars Canada. That will happen on the 27th. And then the following day, on the 28th, they'll have Uprising. They announced Don Callis will be making his presence known, and so is Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin. So that's going to be a very fun match to enjoy. Now, on to some developments here. As you all know, recently on AEW, we saw Jordan Oliver and Alec Price make their presence known. It's now been confirmed by Tony Khan that they are now officially All Elite. So now they're signed with the company. I think they might have put on a great impression again from these guys. So it's great news to hear for that. Now, as you probably saw TNA Genesis, we saw KJ Orso, formerly known as Fuego del Sol. People were speculating that, of course, he is officially signed with TNA. However, Fightful Select just got confirmation that he is not signed with TNA. However, he did make some good impressions with them. So I'm believing that maybe there is a possibility he could be signed. So we'll just have to wait and see what happened. Now, there's been rumors circulating about Evil. As you know, Evil is planning to make an interest to move to WWE. So that's always been in the talk. Now, as you all know, some people may remember, Tony Khan is no fan of Evil whatsoever. So basically, that's been saying going on. But this is what Brian Alvarez has officially put out. Let me pull it out real quick. So he says this, by the way, Evil might be on his way out of New Japan and it's strongly rumored that he's on his way to WWE. Now, if you guys saw recently, there was a picture of him attending WrestleMania. I don't remember, was it last year or the LA one? I don't know, but he attended a WrestleMania event. I don't know if anybody noticed, but yes, he's going to be there. Now, Queen Aminata recently went on her YouTube channel. She did a vlog. She was talking about certain things about her injury, and this is what she said. Since I signed with AEW 2 years ago, I haven't had any bad injury that took me out for so many months like this one. Throughout these few months or few weeks, I should say, some people checked on me while a whole lot of people didn't check on me. So make sure you know your friends and make sure you support them too. Queen Aminata. So yeah. So basically some people did not check up on her, see how she's doing. Some people are. So it's nice to hear that she is still mattered. So yeah, so that's pretty much it what we have for our news update. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you probably know, we have TNA and Ring of Honor. Now, I don't know exactly what to expect for Ring of Honor, but for TNA, we are expecting, as you know, JDC did say there's going to be a replacement, so it's still unclear who. I'm looking forward to it. But the real question is, what's going to happen now in the aftermath since Genesis? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, I haven't decided yet to see if I want to review. I know I missed out on two events from New Japan, so I'm still debating if I should do them or not. But that depends on my mood if I have enough time. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is. But the priority is Ring of Honor and TNA, so we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I'll say this that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I'm gonna bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day.